What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network for the top 10 decks of the Fusion Strike Standard format of the Pokemon trading card game Week 4. These will be the top 10 decks as of December 5th, 2021, according to the data and statistics we're looking at from online events. We have rankings, win rates, deck lists, and more, so plenty of information coming your way in today's video. Before we get into it, shout out to PotownStore.com, the best place to get PTCGO codes, and CardTrooperGames.com, where you can find booster boxes and single cards. Use code Celio for 5% off at both of those websites, and you can find a bunch of my standard format deck lists over at PokemonCard.io. Also, be sure to subscribe to this channel for daily Pokemon TCG content, and leave a like and a comment. Let me know how I'm doing. If you like today's kind of layout of the top 10 decks, you like the data I'm using and going by, if you want just more of my opinions, let me know what your top 10 decks are. Whatever you want to leave it down in the comments, I'll be happy to read it. And now let's get into the video. So the data, the information, all of the statistics on the decks today are coming from play.limitlesstcg.com tournaments, and that data has been collected and organized by trainerhill.com. The method is going to be ranking the decks according to the average points they have earned per per instance played in tournaments. Trainer Hill is using a system similar to championship points like we would be using if we were in real life events. So this will be, let's say a deck is played 100 times throughout tournaments so far in the past 3+ weeks. If that deck's been played 100 times and it earned 100 points, it would have an average of 1 point per instance. If a deck was played 100 times and it's earned 1,000 points, it would have an average of 10 points per instance. So that's how we're going to be ranking the decks today. This is Trainer Hill's point structure. If a tournament has 31 players, it's considered a league challenge. If a tournament has 32 to 127, it's a cup, and so on and so forth. There's kickers to tell you how many players you need to get points for a certain placing. So it's all laid out there. This is the system they use, and that's the this is the system used for the data that we're collecting, or the data that they've collected and we are using today for the video. So this is if the decks are just ranked according to the raw amount of points they have. So Mew Genesect's been played 700 times plus, and it has almost 8,000 points. Sylveon has only been played almost 200 times and has just over 1,000 points. It's not really fair to say that Mew Genesect is better just because it's been played almost 6 times as much as Sylveon and has that many more times of points. So we're going to be using the average points earned in today's video to have more valid results. Because like I said here, this is biased in favor of more popular decks. So, but we can't just use every single deck, right? You'll see Salamence on this deck leaderboard. Salamence VMAX was played 1 time throughout all the tournaments that have already happened so far, and it scored 12 points that one time it was won. But we can't really say that Salamence's 12 average points from that one instance holds a candle to Mew Genesect's 10 average points after being played over 700 times in tournaments. So we will only be using decks that have 50 or more instances, as you see here, and we'll be going by their average points. I estimate that less than 50 would just not be a large enough sample size to call these observations significant. So let's start with number 1. It's Mew VMAX with Genesect V, and even when we're taking into account average points and we are taking precautions to not let the amount of popularity this deck has weigh in to how the deck actually ranks up against everything else, it is still number 1 with the average points when looking at all archetypes that have 50 or more instances in the past 3 to 4 weeks of PlayLimitlessTCG.com tournaments. So Mew VMAX is earning an average of 10 points every time somebody enters into a tournament with it. Now, last week, remember, we ranked decks based on their top 16 and better placements, and Mew VMAX was also number 1 on that list. The week before, we ranked the list wholly based on my opinion, and Mew VMAX was still number one. So this is the third go of slightly different ranking systems, and Mew VMAX is number one every time. So as of the recording of this video, over 700 people have played it. It has a win rate of 56.6%, which is pretty good. That's above average. And it has a total of 7,792 points earned according to the Trainer Hill system. And of course, here is a sample list of Mew VMAX by my friend Ed Valencia. We have gameplay of myself and Ed playing about 2 hours of Urshifu, Rapid Strike Urshifu versus Mew VMAX on the channel. So definitely check out that video if you want to see some Rapid Strike versus Mew VMAX action. This is a list he used to win the Late Night 17 tournament on Play Limitless. He got first place with this, and I think this placement of Ed's really started everybody getting onto the Meloetta train. I do think Meloetta was being undervalued, and rightfully so. People are using it because it can just get off ridiculous attacks on turn one going second. And no Peony in this list. A lot of people are moving away from Peony now. Number 2 is going to be Suicune Ludicolo with an average of 10 points earned for each instance it was played, with a lot less played instances compared to Mew VMAX. Just under 300 people have entered with Suicune Ludicolo into Play Limitless tournaments at the time of recording this video, and its win rate is slightly under Mew VMAX at 54.60%. This Suicune Ludicolo list is by Gabriel Semedo, who placed second place at the GGtoor Chill Showdown 7. Gabriel Semedo was one of the initial pioneers of Suicune Ludicolo when Suicune came out in Evolving Skies, and Gabriel Semedo is showing that a list with barely any changes still works really, really well, even with a whole new set coming out and Mew VMAX running rampant. Next, we have Jolteon VMAX at number 3. Jolteon VMAX, this is the first time, I believe, that it is hitting the number 3 spot or higher in any of my videos since Jolteon has come out. But Jolteon VMAX, according to average points, is number 3 with 9.8 average points per instance played in a tournament. No significant difference between the number of instances of Jolteon and Suicune. Has a win rate just between Suicune and Mew VMAX, and about the same amount of points as Suicune Ludicolo has. Here is a Jolteon VMAX sample list from username One Salty Steak from second place in Late Night Tournament number 16, adapting that Peonia supporter plus Dream Ball plus Dusknoir from Vivid Voltage with the Spectral Breach ability to turn off special energies and turn them just into a colorless energy, which is a good tech against Rapid Strike Urshifu and Single Strike Urshifu, the two banes of Jolteon VMAX's existence. Number 4, we have Gengar VMAX. This is straight Gengar VMAX. No Urshifu, no Umbreon, and this is the variant of Gengar VMAX that I like to see. I was very adamant about Gengar VMAX not being better than Single Strike Urshifu and not being better than Single Strike Umbreon VMAX, but in some other capacity, it could be good. And this is a straight darkness deck of just Gengar VMAX and Houndoom, and just go Turbo Gengar and take big one-shots on the opponent and take advantage of Mew VMAX's dark weakness. Gengar VMAX has an 8.5 for average points per instance played, and it's quite low on the instances played, but straight Gengar VMAX has just started popping up in the past week. And so we'll have to see where this goes in the weeks to come. It currently has a win rate of 55% and just under 600 points earned. But like I said, as more people play this deck, the results will become more valid, and we'll have to see if it goes up or down or stays the same as more people play it. Here's Vini Fernandez's first place list from a recent event, and plenty of people have been playing this deck. I think I saw Azul play it, Zach Lesage play it, Gabriel Smart. A lot of people have been picking it up in the past week or so and trying to make some things happen with it. But like I said, it's a straightforward Turbo Gengar VMAX deck. At number 5, we have Single Strike Urshifu Umbreon, and this is going to be the second most played deck, I believe, that we'll look at today, with an average points of 8.1. And like I said, the more the deck is played, the more valid those results are. So that 8.1 is really solid after having over 600 instances, probably by the time you're seeing this video, since there's tournaments on Limitless like every 6 hours. It has a win rate currently of 51%, which is meh, it's decent, and it has almost 5,000 points earned, so it's got to be doing something right. Here is a first place list from Alec, Geissler, before the Battle VIP passes started popping up, but still there are, preferences to play the Battle VIP pass in this deck or to not. Some people just opt for the 4 Great Ball and no passes. I'm kind of in that boat right now, but very solid sample list nonetheless. At number 6, we've got Sylveon VMAX box. I believe offhand Sylveon VMAX was lower last week on my top 10 decks and maybe even vacant in previous weeks of my top 10 decks, but it hasn't been seeing play too much recently. I think a lot of its play was from the first week or two of the Fusion Strike format, but nonetheless, it has an 8.0 average points per instance played, a little low on the instances played. Like I said, its play rate has been falling off in the past week to 2 weeks. It has a win rate of 50.70, just barely staying over that 50% win rate, and a bit over 1,000 total points earned. Here is a sample Sylveon VMAX Rapid Strike box coming from username mboss11 with a 3rd place at a Sunday Open in the Fusion Strike standard format, utilizing Ribbon Badge, utilizing the Galarian Moltres plus Dark Energy plus Energy Switch. Got a 1/1 Blaziken VMAX in there. Zacian Zamazenta is still popular. Maybe throw in a Path to the Peak or 2, or even a Phoebe and a Palpad to let Blaziken VMAX go through those Zamazenta Vs. Next, at 7th place, tied with Sylveon at 8.0, but with less instances and a lower win rate and lower total points earned, so I gave it the 7th place. Rapid Strike Malamar, our first single prize deck up here on the top 10 countdown so far this week. Rapid Strike Malamar has been getting a little bit more play. People started inching into tournaments with it, like, can we play single prizers yet? And now more people understand, yeah, maybe we can play some more single prizers. There's less sniping going on. Rapid Strike Urshifu isn't the top dog right now. Even if it's good, it's not overly popular. So we can get away with playing some little dudes on our bench and in the active spot. So 82 people have entered tournaments with Rapid Strike Malamar so far. Again, lower on the instances played, so we'll have to see how that develops in the weeks to come. But an 8.0 average points per instance played is not too bad. The win rate, however, is below average. It's not what you want to see. Here is a Malamar Cinccino variant, piloted by username Manupango, at 12th place at late night number 17, and the late nights are typically pretty large events, so a top 16 at one of those is quite good. Just chucking a bunch of Rapid Strike Pokemon and cards into here, the Rapid Strike Energy Stadium supporters, and then scoop up nets to pick back up your Octilleries so you can use them for the effect of Rapid Strike Tentacles. So this is looking to be the premier single prize deck right now. At number 8, we have Rapid Strike Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX Inteleon variants. And all the data combines Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX Galarian Moltres and Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX Melanie variants, as long as they all have the Drizzile Inteleon engine, which is why you'll see the image is depicting a split of the 2 Moltres Melanie. But a lot of times the decks are trying to achieve similar things, so I'm kind of okay with them being combined. They have a similar matchup spread. Although, one has a quite different two-prize attacker, and you can accelerate energy via Dire Flame Wings energy switch as opposed to the just Melanie and playing an Octillery line in the Melanie variant. So they are built differently, they play a little differently, but Rapid Strike, Urshifu, VMAX, Drizzile, and Teleon Engine are all the same, so that's why you're going to see them combined here due to the data combining them with an average points earned of 7.5, over 350 instances played, win rate above average but not too much, and a whole big chunks of points earned at 2,600 plus. Here is an example list of the Galarian Moltres version, piloted by Dangerous Rogue to a second place finish at a Turtwig Den online event. And for Melanie versions, Tord Reklev has a great Melanie list over on his channel Pokemon YouTube videos and on channel Fireball, channel Pokemon's website where he lists his decks. So you could check out mine on PokemonCard.io, but also check out Tord's over there. He's really been like kind of the pioneer of bringing Urshifu Melanie to the online event scene. But this is a Galarian Moltres version. I play mine with a higher Dark Energy count, a higher Energy Search count, and a higher Galarian Moltres V count, but this is one of the highest placing in a large person event, so I wanted to share this one by Dangerous Rogue. At number 9, we've got Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX with 7.5 average points earned and over 200 instances played with about an average win rate. Here's a list from AzulGG. He got a top 4 at a late night event, and this list is playing 4 Crushing Hammer, 2 Fan of Waves, much like the Galarian Wheezing deck, and also much like the Suicune Hammers deck that myself and Tate Whitesoul piloted to an event a couple of weeks ago. I like that 4 Crushing Hammer, 2 Fan of Waves formula, and I think it was working before the Mew VMAX decks got faster and added like 3 Elisas and Meloetta. And now I'm not sure if Crushing Hammer Fan of Waves really does the trick anymore, but we'll have to see if these decks are still performing this week and next week and so on. But a solid, straightforward Calyrex VMAX deck trying to even out the playing field with some energy disruption. And lastly, we've got Rapid Strike Inteleon VMAX with a 6.4 average points earned and 209 instances played, just over an average win rate. Here is a list from QwertyD, who placed first place in a Turtwig Den series online event. Using those 4 Cheryls, that's pretty typical in these decks. And some people play Path to the Peak and no basic energies. QwertyD played 4 Training Court and 3 Water Energy to utilize the Double Gunner ability on the Rapid Strike Inteleon VMAX. So here's one more look at this week's top 10 countdown with the average points, the instances played, the win rates, and the total points. Let me know what this looks like compared to what you expected. And also, do you like the way I ranked them this week? Do you like the statistics and the data I looked at? Was last week's better? Should I go back to my opinion? Should I do all of it? Let me know how you like to get the best decks ranked and how you liked this video and the information I presented. We're not quite done yet, though. We're going to compare last week's to this week's. Now, it's not an exact 1-for-1 because we are using different data. Remember, last week we ranked the decks based on their top 16 or better placements, how many of those top 16 or better placements they had. And this week we ranked them based on the average points earned. It's kind of all saying the same. If you go into a tournament with this archetype, how likely are you to do well? This week we're just defining doing well by earning points and how many average points are these archetypes earning, whereas last week we were defining it as top 16 or better, because points are rewarded on the Trainer Hill system, as you saw, below top 16. So if anything, this just gave decks that are being played at a lower popularity a bit more of a shot. So Mew VMAX, like I said, across all 4 weeks so far of the best decks videos, Mew VMAX has not moved. Single Strike VMAX, Urshifu VMAX has also not moved from second, and Suicune Ludicolo had not moved from third until this week. Now we've got Suicune Ludicolo up in second place. and Jolteon VMAX up in second place compared to last week. Gengar VMAX, straight Gengar VMAX Houndoom is new this week at number 4. We see Single Strike Urshifu Umbreon has moved down from its number 2 spot to number 5. Sylveon up from number 10 to 6. Rapid Strike Malamar is new on the list. Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX was not on the list last week. It bubbled out at number 11. Ice Rider Calyrex moving down just a notch, and Rapid Strike Inteleon VMAX moving down a notch. Decks that were not featured this week in the top 10 include Leafeon VMAX, Zacian Zamazenta, and Eternatus VMAX Umbreon. Although Leafeon VMAX and Zacian Zamazenta are popular, they are being played more than a few of the decks that did make top 10 this week. They are just not dishing out those average points earned to make it this week, and Eternatus is having a problem in all areas. It's not being played a lot, and it's not performing well. It's not getting a lot of those points. So thank you for watching today's top 10 decks for the Fusion Strike format as of December 5th for week 4, going in to playing more play.limitlesstcg.com tournaments with the Fusion Strike standard format. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.